The NBA has suspended the Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant for 25 games for conduct detrimental to the league. But it's debatable which part of Morant's foolish conduct the league is actually punishing him for. When talking about Ja Morant, the immensely popular point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies, who had waved a gun while streaming live to Instagram after doing the same just a few months earlier, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver seemed to stray from the main topics of his State of the League press conference on June 1. Following the initial incident, the league banned Morant for 8 games, and he literally offered an apology, stating in an ESPN interview that the gun wasn't his. "It's not my identity," Morant declared. When asked for an update on the timing for possible league action about 30 days after the second event, Silva disclosed that the incident's inquiry was practically over. Prior to Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Silva stated, "In terms of the timing, we've uncovered a fair amount of additional information, I think." In response to a question, "I would say that we probably could have brought it to a head right now, but we decided that it would be unfair to those players and these teams in the middle of the series to announce the results of that investigation. And I think the Players Association agrees with us. Now the finals are done, and Denver the parade has concluded." In keeping with Silva's hint, the league declared on Friday that Morant would serve a 25-game suspension for actions that were harmful to the league. This serves as a useful reminder of the precise offenses the league finds objectionable and wishes to penalize in this instance. In the official news release, Silva makes a statement addressing the concerning possibility that other young people could emulate Morant's actions. However, he first addresses the real issue, which is that this was a recurrent incident for which the league had already suspended him once. Malik Beasley, a former Timberwolf, was suspended for 12 games in 2021 after he admission to felony charges of making threats of violence against a family that was sitting in a car outside his house while brandishing an assault gun. The main reason Morant missed more than twice as many games on suspension was that he disregarded league's officials' instructions not to brandish a gun while dancing in a car with his pals. The same justification has been used to penalize players for making public trade requests. Remarkably, the NBA did not consider Miles Bridges' arrest for domestic abuse in April to be behavior harmful to the league. The league news release expressed no concern about how that abuse may be replicated. Bridges was suspended for just 10 games as a result of that aggressive behavior. The NBA lied with shame, saying that although Bridges had been punished for 30 games, 20 of them had somehow already been played during the previous season when a team didn't even sign him. A variety of punishments have been imposed on other NBA players for domestic abuse, including some who have entered guilty pleas. However, none have been as harsh as the one that Morant recently received for brandishing a gun in public. In NBA history, this is a historic punishment. The longest ban the league has ever imposed for a player's actions outside of the NBA is 25 games. Guns were brought into the Wizards' locker room by Gilbert Arenas. At an NBA arena, Mata Sandiford Artest charged into the stands and got into a fight with spectators. During a team practice, lateral Spruill, during the offseason, Morant did something careless but less overtly violent on his schedule and in his area. Or, given that it's also shared with the entire globe via social media, is it his own space? The NBA is struggling with Morant's conduct as well as how accessible it is in the internet era. Ja starts acting as a league spokesperson when he actively participates in a webcast. In addition to receiving an unprecedented suspension, Morant will be prohibited from participating in any public team or league activities while his suspension is pending due to the manner in which he represented the NBA and himself. Before he is allowed to play again, he has to fulfill the requirements set by the league. As expected, the Players Association has already voiced objections to the harshness of the penalty, claiming that it is neither fair nor consistent with previous sanctions. This is accurate in the strictest sense of the word, even in cases where NBA players have entered guilty pleas to charges involving firearms. Their suspension have typically been limited to a few games, maybe 10 at most. However, those may not be pertinent points of reference given what Morant is actually facing punishment for: an 8-game penalty for using a gun. 25 games are a different story altogether, as is the more than $7 million in salary that Morant will have to give up to play for them. It's the price for creating a behavior pattern that could continue to harm the NBA and for making the league appear silly. It's like for having a meeting with Silva once and promising him that this would never happen again, only for a few weeks later another video revealing the same behavior to surface. Would it have made a difference if the suspension had been 12 games rather than 8? During his news conference earlier this month, Silva posed a hypothetical question. We want to be fair in terms of the league, and I know it seemed based on precedent, and he's represented. At the time, it seemed suitable. All I can say is that. I suppose you might argue that maybe not, given that it looks from the video that he has done it again. The fact that Morant is a huge story in and of himself is just one of the numerous reasons why his actions have become widely reported. This 23-year-old megastar has one of the league's best-selling jerseys and a distinctive sneaker. He has about 10 million Instagram followers. The discourse would be different if a regular role player had pulled out a pistol in a car or bar and streamed it live. The penalty may differ. A highly visible young superstar is in a unique position to seriously harm the NBA brand if the offense in question involves behavior that is harmful to the league. For the league office, that is and has always been the main focus. Because of the way the NBA punished him, Morant won't be able to win any individual honors or be named to the All-NBA team the next season, which could have a significant financial impact. In its statement following his second ban, Morant made sure to express his regret to his sponsors as well as the Grizzlies and the young fans who look up to him. Money talks, and even in cases where official statements have been edited to the PR-approved level of perfection, the message still gets through. Star point guard Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies will play his first game back after serving a 25-game suspension against the New Orleans Pelicans. Former three-time All-Star Gilbert Arenas gave the 24-year-old some advice prior to his season debut. Because of his conduct detrimental to the league, Morant was suspended for the first 25 games of the season. This happened on May 14 after he had displayed a gun on social media. After serving an 8-game suspension in March for identical behavior, this was Morant's second suspension stemming from a gun-related incident. Given that Morant had a history of infractions, the NBA severely punished him. He will, therefore, probably be given a very short leash upon his impending comeback, and the league will keenly watch his behavior. Gun-related incidents are nothing new in Arenas. He was given a 50-game suspension during the 2009-10 season for carrying a gun into the locker room of the Washington Wizards. After his suspension, Arenas' career was never quite the same. He, therefore, has direct knowledge of how easily off-court events may ruin a player's career. Arenas cautioned Morant not to take his chance for granted in a recent episode of his podcast, Gil's Arena. Just grow with every experience that you are gonna encounter, but realize that there is people out there that's trying to take it from you. And you really gotta understand that, Arenas said. What was the Grizzlies' record during the 25-game ban of Ja Morant? Memphis finished just 6-19, tied for the second worst record in the Western Conference during Ja Morant's 25-game suspension. The Grizzlies, on the other hand, have the lowest offensive rating, 105.7 in the NBA. Therefore, most would concur that they could really utilize their star guards' playmaking and shot creation skills. Even with Morant, though, considering their early season problems, it might be too late for them to make a run at the West playoffs. In 61 games during the previous campaign, Morant averaged 46.6% shooting, 26.2 points, 5.9 rebounds, 8.1 assists, 1.1 steals, and 1.5 three-pointers per game. With a 51-31 record, he guided the Grizzlies to the second seed in the West. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it amazing, please don't forget to hit that like button below. And if you want to stay updated with more great content like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the red button and just ringing the notification bell so you never miss any future content from us. Your support means the world to us.